Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What kind of slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday it did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you with Toadstool Sports. It is Friday, March 27th. Not a good day on the show yesterday. 1-2. It started out well. We got the easy under in the first 5 innings with Anaheim, Houston. Full game under also cashed on that. It was no score at all through the first 5, and Anaheim won 3-0. So that was easy. The Cincinnati Reds did not get there. That was a 0-0 game until, I think, the 7th inning, and then the Red Sox scored 1 run, and it was 1-0 into the 9th inning. So I'm thinking, it seemed like it was sort of the right side there, man. Crochet did pitch really well. He was done after 6 innings, though, and just Cincinnati could not get any runs on the board. And then the Red Sox put up 2 to pad the lead in the 9th inning, and that was it. So, yeah, not great there, but at least as a Red Sox fan, at least that happened. And then the Nashville Predators, I'm sure if you guys are on social media, you saw that they put out this pride messaging for no reason. Oh, yeah, it's the end of March. Let's just have a pride night. I'm like, they're going to lose this game now. This is so ridiculous. Like, why would they do this? And, yeah, of course, that is what happened. I think they were losing 2-0, and then I think they tied the game 2-2. And then they lost anyway. I know the final was 4-2, but there was an empty net at the end. It was 3-2 for a while at the end there. But, yeah, Nashville, if they had not done that pride thing, I think they probably would have won the game. But now I'm rooting for them to miss the playoffs. Screw them. It's ridiculous. This is 2026. That's Tennessee. Like, who are you appealing to with that? Like, I know you're in I guess Nashville is still kind of, it's a leftist city still, but who are you appealing to with that messaging? This is hockey. You're in the south of the United States. I don't fucking get it. I don't get it. It's also more ridiculous that their name is the Predators. Anyway, whatever. We're going to get into today. We're going to have 2 more baseball plays. Baseball, because I do totals, my volume in baseball winds up being a bit more, but it goes throughout the summer, right, when baseball's like the only thing around. So the volume during the summer is still not that high. But during, if you want, I don't know what you want to call this, the equinox of all the sports here, we got a little bit more volume that way, although basketball is kind of winding down because of college. I'm not going to have any Sweet 16 plays, man. I just don't love any of it well enough. I will have 1 NBA play, and it is pretty disgusting. I'll tell you that. But I think we have to do it. Mr. Penzi, what's up? Yes, Illinois for the brackets, yes. I'm not going to win very much for, these bracket pools if I happen to win, which we're going to need Michigan to win. But, I'm worried. I'm actually worried because, the other big favorites are winning, but I know there is this huge gap. Michigan should win tonight. I don't care if they cover because I'm not going to have a play on it. So just win the game, man. Survivor is going to get really interesting because I'm basically forced to pick the toss-up game tonight. Oh, God. I don't know, man. like Survivor, once it gets late, like you need to get every single game pretty much right at the end to actually win the Survivor. So I still have Michigan, I still have Duke, and I still have Arizona all available, and I'm not using any of them yet. So, because you have to save them pretty much. And I saved Florida, but that obviously didn't work out. I still have Illinois available as well. So, but I basically have to get UConn versus Michigan State correct tonight, or I have to take Tennessee and hope that they pull off the upset. Those are the only options because I can't use Michigan yet or Duke. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do here. Charles, what's up? Yeah, well, the leftists fleeing. They're going to ruin these other places. Nobody can go anywhere, man. You just have to, like, be away from all the cities. I am not sure about that. I know there are a lot of we'll talk about that game. We're going to talk about college basketball. There are a lot of professional bettors that like Alabama in that game. I don't really understand why. We're going to do baseball first because baseball does have at least one afternoon game on ESPN and I guess MLB Unlimited. So I guess if you have ESPN Unlimited, whatever, you'll be able to watch this one. Yankees and Giants, of course, it's that game that we get televised here. I almost put this on my card. I do have an angle that I kind of like in this one. Cam Schlittler is pitching for the Yankees. Of course, neither of these teams played yesterday, so the bullpens, you don't have to look at the rest. I brought up the rest for the bullpens today because there are a couple of games that do involve teams that played yesterday. Once tomorrow starts, I think we get the full Major League Baseball schedule tomorrow where every team starts playing, but not yet. Anyway, Cam Schlittler, the trader, is pitching for the Yankees here from Weymouth, Mass., from very close to me. He's a pretty good pitcher, man. I mean, he had a pretty decent rookie campaign last year and a shortened season for him last year. I think they brought him up towards the end of the season last year. And he has a distinct advantage here because the Giants have never seen him before. And you know I talk about this. When you have a young pitcher who's good, he has an extra advantage when the hitters on the other side have never faced him before because they have to get used to him. So he definitely has an advantage there. We have a pitcher-friendly park here, by the way, as I mentioned, with San Francisco. Robbie Ray is pitching for San Francisco. He was good most of the season last year, and he made the All-Star game. But then basically from the All-Star game onward, he started pitching significantly worse. And he was another one of those guys where it was like, you know, he had like an okay career, and then all of a sudden he was pitching way better, like in his mid-30s. It just didn't make any sense to me. So I don't know how much I trust Ray. His numbers against the Yankees are good. In 93 career at-bats, he's held them to a very low 194 batting average, 647 OPS, 30-13 strikeout walk ratio. It's probably too many walks, but 6 of them are Aaron Judge. So Judge has actually bombed him, and it looks like he pitches around Judge. Judge has 3 home runs off him, and Judge can't possibly be worse in this game than he was in the last game. You know, if you want hitters props, I don't really do props, but I recommend hits plus runs plus RBIs for hitters props. Maybe you look for Judge to bounce back because he was so bad in the first game, and he has a good pitching matchup here, a lefty that he hits well. But you got to avoid the fact that, well, yeah, if you do hits plus runs plus RBIs, at least he can score runs if he walks. That's why I prefer that over total bases. So maybe a recommendation there, even though I'm not a props guy. But my opinion in this game would be the under, even though I worry about it a little bit just because I don't trust Ray that much. And the money is coming out on the over a little bit, up to 8. 88% of tickets, 97% of the cash on the over. Looks like the public might be a bit on the over here. I mean, the public, they basically see the Yankees and they always play the over. So... You know, I lean under in this game, though, and the bullpens are rested because they didn't play yesterday. I would also lean to the Yankees on the side. I think Schlittler is the better pitcher, and, you know, obviously the Yankees have the better offense. The Giants do have the better bullpen, at least of last year, as any indication, but, you know, I think we have to kind of wait and see how good these bullpens really are. It's kind of a guessing game early on with the bullpens, but the money is coming in on the Yankees, and I don't disagree with that. Even though I did in the first game and they won anyway. 81% of tickets, 93% of the cash on the Yankees. Again, Ray, I just don't trust him fully, and Schlittler, I think, sets up a bit better in this one because he's never been seen before by the opposing lineup. Judge, he was 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts in that game, I believe. But the Yankees still put up 7 runs even without him doing anything. A's at Toronto. As we get into the night slate here, Luis Severino is pitching for the A's. One thing about the A's is I believe they actually were better on the road last year in a lot of ways because they don't really have a home advantage because they play in a AAA stadium for the next, I think, last year through next year. I think they're still playing in this stupid Sacramento stadium, and they're not even called the Sacramento A's. They're just the A's. It's getting really ridiculous, man. Like, they should just be playing somewhere in Vegas already and be the Vegas A's. I don't know what's going on here. Severino, the interesting thing about him, though, is he was a completely different pitcher home and away last year. He was way better on the road than he was at home last year. His overall numbers were not good, but home road splits were insane last year. He was terrible in that home stadium. His ERA was like 3 runs higher at home last year, a 6 ERA at home, 3 on the road. So he is on the road here. He was better on the road last year, and he's actually good against the Blue Jays. 83 career at-bats, 33-10 strikeout walk ratio, 205 average allowed, 628 OPS. So I don't hate that at all. The Blue Jays might take a little bit of a step back offensively this year because they did lose Bo Bichette. Vlad Guerrero and Kirk both actually hit Severino pretty well, but aside from those 2 guys, they do not do well against him. He's going up against Kevin Gausman. I don't know how you pronounce his names. I like Gausman, man. Gauss just sounds better, but I don't know. I think it's Gausman. He's been around for a while. He had a good season last year for the Blue Jays. However, he does not have good numbers against the A's in 50 career at-bats, 11-5 strikeout walk ratio. Not good, although Butler has 3 of those walks, so you can kind of ignore that a little bit. Rooker and McNeil both hit him well if you're looking for player props there. 340 batting average allowed to the A's and 840 OPS. And whenever I talk about these numbers, it's against the current lineup for that team. ESPN does a pretty good job keeping it updated to like the active roster that this guy is facing. Obviously, not all those guys will be in the lineup, but you know that the manager's going to put in like most of the guys that have the best numbers against him and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's a pretty good way to look at it. So I actually like the A's in this game. Toronto's minus 173, 82% of the tickets, 91% of the cash on Toronto. The A's bullpen is a question, though. So I think, if you want to do this, I think I would go A's first 5 innings in this one probably and just focus on the starting pitching matchup and the specific numbers between these 2 pitchers. I think Severino will be pretty under the radar here because everybody knows Gausman. Toronto was in the World Series last year. Everybody knows this. Everybody likes that Toronto has a good offense. The A's offense isn't terrible, though. And, again, the bullpens really weren't that great on either side, but the A's was so bad that if you want to just take them out of the equation, A's run line in the first 5 innings probably makes sense. You can probably get them plus a half run, and you're fading the public if you do that. 82% of tickets, 91% of the cash on the Blue Jays. So that's probably the way I would play that game. That one has not made my card, but I kind of like it, to be honest. Again, I think looking at the insane home road splits like that from last year, that's how we identified Soriano as a decent look yesterday. You might be able to say the same thing about Severino here. Colorado at Miami, this is an ugly, ugly game. Kyle Freeland is pitching for Colorado. I guess he's their opening day starter. I don't even know what to say, man. He's not horrible, I guess, but I don't know. Against Miami, not good. 302 batting average allowed, 825 OPS, 16-6 strikeout walk ratio, and 86 at-bats. Most of the damage coming from Slater, though, who has a ton of at-bats against him. Most of the walks coming from him as well. Miami's got Sandy Alcantara pitching. I mentioned him the other day because he's a guy who had Tommy John surgery maybe twice, I want to say. I don't remember, but basically, he was never the same pitcher again, but I will say that in the last 3 months of last year, he actually started pitching better again. which I think is why they hung on to him, and he's still here. He was potentially going to be a trade candidate. Like, he was a candidate for being traded last year. I remember that as well because the Red Sox were mentioned as one of the trade partners for that. I think he might have been on the Red Sox at one point, if I remember correctly. But he actually did start pitching better at the end of the year, so maybe he will actually be okay this year. He gets a good matchup to start out because he's facing a bad Rockies lineup here. 43 at-bats career-wise against them, 13-2 strikeout walk ratio, 163 average allowed, 386 OPS allowed. So Alcantara does have pretty good numbers against Colorado. I don't have a strong opinion on this. I mean, based on what you see there with those numbers, I think you kind of have to lean to Miami if you're going to play the side here. They're up to minus 186, 76% of tickets, 96% of the cash on them. I mean, I guess my recommendation would be like a run line on Miami. I would find like a -1 run line in that case, probably to cut the price down a little bit. It's still probably going to be about -1 at like -130 or so, though, if you do that. But that's probably how I would approach that, other than, just completely avoiding the game. If you wanted to go Colorado under their team total, that might be a way to do it too, because it's a pretty low total. It's a bit of a risk because you're relying on Alcantara to actually be good again. But again, he is facing a very weak lineup here. So, that's not too bad. Kansas City at Atlanta. I believe these two teams did play yesterday. Wait, did they? Why do I think, why did I think they did? Maybe they didn't. I don't know, because I was looking at I was going to look at the bullpens, and I'm like, yeah, for some reason I thought I talked about, Kansas City's not at home yet, because when we talk about Kansas City at home, by the way, their park is going to be less pitcher-friendly now, because it was so pitcher-friendly, they moved the outfield walls in by like a couple of feet, so I don't know how that's going to work out. We'll see. But that's something to keep in mind with Kansas City games this year. This game is at Atlanta, though. Cole Reagans is pitching for Kansas City. He is probably their best pitcher. His numbers didn't look that good last year, but that's because he was injured for a lot of the season, and his whip was actually good last year. He is actually pretty good, so I would not really take away much from his ERA from last year. Against Atlanta, his numbers are a bit all over the place. 35 career at-bats is not a huge sample size. 12-2 strikeout walk ratio is really good, but 754 OPS is where I kind of have some questions here. He's allowed some extra base hits to these guys. 257 batting average allowed is not that bad, though. But overall, I like Reagans. I think he should do okay here. He's going up against Chris Sale, who seems to be the only healthy Braves starter, at least for now. I mean, he's getting up there in age, man, and he might not be healthy the whole season. I mean, I would probably bank on him not being healthy for the whole season. I don't know what's going on with the Braves, man. Like I said, I think they must be around some like electrical substation because their starting pitchers are all injured, and it's insane that the old guy is the one who's not injured right now. But we're handicapping this game for now. Chris Sale is pitching. He's an ace. I mean, we know he's got good numbers in his career against the Royals hitters here. 94 career at-bats. So 68 of them are Salvador Perez, who actually does hit him okay, although he does strike out a lot against him too. But most of these guys are actually not even that familiar with Sale, which is interesting. 24-2 strikeout walk ratio against them. 245 average allowed, 590 OPS. But remember, the majority, like 2/3 of those numbers are just Perez against Sale. So, but I think what we can take away from it is that Sale should do pretty well generally. This Royals lineup is not good either. This game for me, it would be under if I was going to play this game. We have 53% of the tickets on the over, 99% of the cash on the under is probably not accurate, but it looks like you can get under 7.5, but maybe it's juiced a little bit, like minus 120 on that or something like that. I worry a little bit about it because Chris Sale is still one of those like name pitchers, but I mean, he's got a name for a reason. The under does make sense to me in this one. I think Reagans, to kind of counter that, Reagans kind of flies under the radar. It's two lefties, and a lot of times lineups struggle a little bit more against lefties because they don't see them as much. Although we are going to fade one of the lefties in a minute here. But yeah, under would be the way I would look at this. As far as the side, it's down to minus 137 on Atlanta here. 71% of tickets, 84% of the cash on Atlanta. I would probably lean to the Royals, to be honest, in this one. I think there might be a little bit of value there in fading the name pitcher when it looks like it's going to be a decently close pitching matchup. You know what I mean? But I don't have a strong opinion on the side there. My preference in that game would be to go under the total. Anaheim at Houston. These two teams did play yesterday, and Anaheim won the game 3-0. So we do have to look at what's going on with the bullpens here. Anaheim used 4 of their relief pitchers yesterday. Their bullpen's not good, remember, although they did kind of bolster it, I guess, with Pomerantz, but he did pitch yesterday. Houston only used 3 relievers, but I think it was kind of a situation where they knew they were out of the game, so they did use blue ball for a lot of pitches there. So I think the bullpens are both, in kind of ordinary shape, I would say, coming into this one. And, of course, that was just the first game of the season, so you can kind of normally handicap these bullpens. I think Houston, based on what we saw last year, Houston should have the better bullpen here against Anaheim. Anaheim is just not good. I think Houston has the better offense as well. Anaheim's offense was not impressive last year. And I think Houston has the better starting pitcher in this game as well, and that's where we're going to go here. Kikuchi is pitching for Anaheim. One thing to remember about him last year, his whip was god-awful, for one thing, 1.42. So his ERA being in the 3s looks pretty decent, but don't be fooled by that because he was putting a ton of guys on base. And what's even worse for him is that his home-road splits were very home-oriented. It's always been this way for him during his career. He had a sub-3 ERA at home last year, and on the road, his ERA was above 5. So it was worse than 2 runs higher on the road. He was bad on the road last year, man. That's where you want to fade him, and no shocker, we're fading him here. This is one of my best bets. We are taking the Astros here in this game. Also kind of a zigzag spot to bounce back after scoring no runs last night and losing. If you wanted to play this by going over Houston's team total, I would also be okay with that because I think they're gonna score some runs with Kikuchi plus Anaheim's bullpen. I think it's guaranteed Houston is scoring runs here. But we're doing this with a -1 run line for Houston at -117 here because I actually like the pitching matchup. And again, like I said, I think Houston actually has the edge in all 3 phases of this game. Anaheim just sucks. And Kikuchi, by the way, against the Astros, his numbers are not particularly good. In fact, they're not good. They have a lot of experience against him. He actually was on the Astros, I think, briefly, so he is used to pitching in this park, but I don't think it's going to matter. They've got 172 at-bats against him, 40-13 strikeout walk ratio, 279 batting average is, not extraordinarily high, but the OPS is where we really start seeing Houston beats this guy up. 865 OPS against them. We got a lot of home runs in here from Alvarez, Myers, Paredes. Pena has one off of him as well. So Kikuchi, I'm looking for him to not do well here. And I think we have a nice advantage here with the newcomer Mike Burrows for the Astros, who had a decent season last year, a bit under the radar for he was on the Pittsburgh Pirates last year. Astros got him during the offseason. I think it was during the offseason they got him. He's still a pretty young guy, mid-20s. He did okay last year. And the thing that I like here is he's facing a pretty weak offense in the Angels, and they've never faced him before. So, what do I always say? When you have a young guy who's a decent pitcher and the opposing lineup, especially if they're not a great lineup, they haven't seen him before, a lot of times the pitcher has a little bit of an extra edge when that happens. And I think we have another extra edge here because this is going to be his first start with his new team. And I think that actually pumps a pitcher up a little bit more when they're making their first start for a new team. He's not used to pitching in the stadium, whatever, but I think you get a little bit of extra excitement, like motivation, like he wants to go out and do well, right? Because the pitcher, I think they feel like they have to prove themselves a little bit because, okay, these guys spent all this money to acquire me. I got to go out there and earn it, you know what I mean? So I like that. And actually, that's going to be the case with 2 of the pitchers that we're going to be taking today. It's going to factor into both of my plays. But, yes, we're going to do that with Houston. I think they have the edge all across the board in this game. They're sitting at about minus 152 on the money line, which is why I'm recommending a run line here. You can find this on DraftKings. I'm allowed to say it, right? I don't know. 75% of tickets, 94% of the cash on Houston here. So the money is sort of indicating with me here. It looks like they might be a public side too, but again, it's baseball. The public doesn't necessarily come in and they don't hammer these baseball games when there are other sports going on. You know what I mean? So some of those tickets are actually still professional tickets. We're going with Houston in that one. I had something else I was about to say, and I don't remember what it was now. Oh, yeah, DK, I think, is the only place that really has those -1 run lines there. If you wanted to do a split bet like I did yesterday with the Reds underdog there, you could do that too and do a -1.5 run line, split it with the money line. And you'd have to put a little bit I don't know what the split would be exactly. I'd have to do the math, but you could do it that way, and actually you might get a better number than this. This is just, I don't know. This is for the sake of ease getting this run line here, and I don't think the price is going to be that much different if you do the splits, but it might be a little bit different. Yeah. Yeah, you say Kikuchi. I believe he goes around kicking women in the genitals or something. I don't know. He's been in the major leagues for quite a while now, and he's always been a pitcher who's good at home, and you want to fade him on the road. That's been his thing. Cleveland and Seattle, I was wrong about them having an under game last night. These two teams did play last night. Looking at their bullpen usage, Cleveland used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, which, isn't great. Seattle also used 4 and actually used them more. So the bullpen usage actually kind of favors Cleveland a little bit here. I think Cleveland does still have a decent bullpen, although I think they might have a little bit of an injury situation going on there. And, of course, you remember their closer. I don't know what happened to Clase last year, their closer, who basically got, thrown off the team for gambling. I don't know where that guy's at now. He should still be pitching in the majors. Come on. But anyway, we have a pitcher-friendly park here. I know I said that last night. I'm less tempted to go with an under in this game, though. I liked the pitching matchup in last night's game more than this one. I don't know what we're going to get in this one, man. Gavin Williams is pitching for Cleveland. He had a pretty good season last year. He started pitching well down the stretch. I believe he was the one who had that. Didn't he have a complete game shutout or something, one hit or something like that? I think he had one really good performance towards the end of the year last year. Against Seattle, he does have good numbers in 40 at-bats, 175 average allowed, 514 OPS, 8-2 strikeout walk ratio. So he's been good against Seattle. So I like how he sets up in this one. George Kirby is pitching for Seattle. Kirby, he's got decent numbers. He was injured for a bit last year. His ERA wound up not being that good last year, but his whip was still pretty good. The thing about Kirby, though, is he seems kind of matchup dependent. He has certain games where he gets absolutely bombed, and in other games he does well. So you have to kind of try to gauge what's going to happen with him. I believe he does pitch better at home, which basically all of Seattle's pitchers do because they're better at home. It's a better pitching environment, I should say. It's a pitcher-friendly park. I don't know where's Brian Wu at, dude. Is he hurt? Because he hasn't pitched yet. Wu is their best starter. I don't even know where he's at. He's actually, I guess he's third in the rotation. I think he's their best starter. Wu, I guess he's going to pitch tomorrow. I don't know, man. Very weird, but Kirby is pitching here. His numbers against Cleveland are pretty bad. In 62 at-bats, 11-2 strikeout walk ratio is fine, although it's not that many strikeouts, but 306 batting average allowed, 838 OPS. That's not good. Juan Manzardo and Jose Ramirez, they basically all pretty much light this guy up. So that's not good. So based on that, I would have to kind of be leaning towards Cleveland in this one. 81% of tickets, 95% of the cash on Seattle. They're up to -163. It looks like they might be a little bit of a public side. You can get a decent underdog price with Cleveland here. And again, I would probably leave the bullpens in that one because their bullpen usage wasn't as bad. Seattle does have a good bullpen, that's for sure. You could argue they're the better bullpen here, but I think it's close enough that I think a full game, run line, a mix between run line and money line would be the way to do this. with Cleveland. It's not going to make my card or anything, but that's the way I would lean in that game. Yesterday, Cleveland did win yesterday, though, so, I guess you could argue that Seattle will kind of zigzag it, but I don't know. Baseball is a very matchup-dependent sport, though. All right, next up is going to be the other play. I'm giving out 2 baseball plays. And you know me, this one is going to be a total. We're going to go under in Tigers-Padres. Detroit-San Diego, we got a pitcher-friendly park here, so that should help as well. You can find that hook on the 7.5 there. I saw it at minus 115, though, but I would do it to get the hook. I mean, with baseball, like the hook means a little bit more in baseball, right? Like if we were able to find the hook the other day at a decent price, it would have definitely been worth it because it would have won on the under on that Yankee-Giants game the other day. We're doing it here, though. I actually like the starting pitching matchup here, and I think it's a little bit more of an under the radar. Like we don't have these like name pitchers here where everybody's like, oh yeah, this guy's an ace. You know what I mean? I like how that sets up here as well. Both offenses are decent, but I think the pitching can outperform the offense in this one. And both bullpens were pretty decent last year. In fact, San Diego's was good. Detroit hardly used any of their bullpen last night. I think it was kind of a blowout result last night. San Diego used a lot of their pitchers, but they used 4 of them, but they kind of used more of their long relief type of guys. So I'm okay with having the bullpen still in this equation here. Last night's game where was the final? What was the final in last night's game? Why don't I see it? That was last night, right? Yeah, it was 8-2 Detroit. So, oh my God, if Skubal pitched against Pivetta and 10 runs were scored, who's going to want to go under here, right? I don't know. Although Skubal, I think, pitched pretty well last night, as he usually does. Pivetta, probably not so much. I don't know. I didn't look at what happened in that game. But the fact that 10 runs got scored, maybe that even is giving us a little bit of value here on this one, because people are going to think, well, if 10 runs were scored last night in this game, these pitchers that aren't as good as the pitchers from last night, how is this one going to stay under? You know what I mean? I think it will. We got Framber Valdez pitching for the Tigers here, formerly of the Astros. He's got to just keep his head in order, man. That's the thing. Like, he was a guy that would just go on, like, full tilt. Like, he'd allow, like, a bunch of hits in a start. He'd just go completely off the rails. He's a head case, so you got to avoid him having one of those types of situations. But I think we can because, again, like I said with Burrows, this is going to be his first game pitching with his new team, I'm pretty sure. So I think you're going to get an effort out of him. You're going to get a good performance out of him in this one. And when he's good, he's pretty good. So hopefully that'll happen here. He's pitching in a pitcher-friendly environment as well. And I'm going to show you his matchup numbers in a minute. By the way, I completely fucked it up where I was talking about Franklin Herman or whatever the hell his name is for Houston. I apologize. I'm gonna get sued for defamation or whatever because the Pine Tar guy was actually Ronel Blanco on the Astros. I apologize. He was the guy that actually was putting Pine Tar in his hand. So my mistake there. Valdez, but again, yeah. Valdez, his thing is just that he's out of his mind. Hopefully that won't be the case here. And against San Diego, he has 117 at bats worth against them, and they haven't really hit him well at all. 33-11 strikeout walk ratio. Yeah, I know Valdez, he does have a little bit of a walk issue, but these hitters have not hit him well. 222 average against him, 597 OPS is very low. So he's kept their power very, very limited against him. So I like that. I think Valdez should be in line for a good start here. Michael King is pitching for San Diego. I think you could make the argument he's actually their best pitcher, even though I know, what about Nick Pivetta? Yeah, I know Pivetta pitches well in this stadium, whatever. King is definitely good, though. And against Detroit, they don't have a lot of experience against him. They only have 15 at-bats off him. They have no extra base hits against him, 6 strikeouts, no walks against him, a 200 average and 400 OPS. It's a limited sample size, but I think that's also good because it means that Detroit's offense is just not familiar with them either, really. So I like how King sets up in this game as well. So this game is an under for us here. We got 69% of tickets and only 61% of the cash on the over here. So it does look like the money is basically indicating on the under here. And for what it's worth, the money's indicating on San Diego as well. They're at minus 122 now, up from minus 113. 53% of the tickets are on Detroit, 76% of the money on the Padres. So do with that information what you want to, I guess. But we're going under for the play here in that one. All right. Yeah, I don't think I can cover that one. The hook brings you back. I saw Blues Traveler twice, like a couple years ago. They're still good live, man. John Popper, very, very good with the harmonica. I don't know if I could do that on uke because I can't do the harmonica stuff, so I don't know. They put on a good show, though. I mean, I'm not really a jam band guy, but Blues Traveler puts on a good show. 50% boost a day. Wow, all right, so you can knock that. Wait, Houston money line? Money line or run line? Wow. If you can get if you can get the money line on Houston at that, yeah, do it, obviously. Yeah, yesterday, I'm pretty surprised that yesterday was an over game like that. Even with the Brewers, yeah, I mean, we know their offense is pretty solid, but like, and, the White Sox aren't good, but still, I thought Shane Smith would keep them in line a little bit there. I'm pretty surprised. I don't know, but if yesterday was so over heavy, I think today might be under heavy. And also, again, a lot of these teams haven't even played yet, but it's also early in the season. Early season unders usually are the way to look early in the season. Pitchers usually have the edge early on a little bit. And then the last game on MLB Network, by the way, a couple of these games are on MLB Network, a couple are on Apple TV, and then the rest are on MLB TV. But, of course, you can find streams anyway. Arizona at the Dodgers is the last game. Once again, the Dodgers are going to be a massive favorite here. The Dodgers won easily last night, which I was correct, by the way. My approach with that game was, my recommendation was Dodgers over their team total. That would have been a winner if people did that one last night. I wouldn't be opposed to doing it again in this game because we have our old friend here, Ryan Nelson, pitching for the Diamondbacks. I'm not a fan. I don't know what this was last year. I don't know how his numbers were what they were last year. I don't buy it whatsoever. I think he sucks. I don't get it. And he's on the road here against the Dodgers. His numbers are actually good against the Dodgers, and it doesn't make any sense. In 91 at-bats, 22-10 strikeout walk ratio is not good, though. But 222 batting average allowed, 635 OPS allowed. He's actually done well against the Dodgers, but I just don't get it. I still don't buy it. And then Emmett Sheehan is pitching for the Dodgers. He's pretty good, man. Like, I like him. He's a young dude. I'm not a fan of the Dodgers, but I do like this guy, even though he's from New York. Better than playing for the Yankees, though. He had a good season last year, kind of a shortened season. I think he was either a rookie or I don't know. He didn't have that many major league years under his belt yet. He still doesn't. But what that means is the Diamondbacks haven't seen that much of him. They only have 10 at-bats against him. 5-2 strikeout walk ratio is not great, but 100 average allowed. They only have one hit off him. It is a home run from Corbin Carroll, but still 650 OPS allowed. It's a very small sample size, but I think what we could say is that Sheehan is pretty unfamiliar to Arizona, so they might struggle against him a little bit more. I think the Dodgers should win this game. I mean, obviously, they're minus 232 on the money line. This one is more difficult to actually want to recommend a play on because, again, Nelson does have good numbers against the Dodgers, so I don't know. Even though, I was kind of thinking Dodgers over their team total again makes sense. Maybe it doesn't make as much sense this time. I don't know, man. I mean, Dodgers run line, I guess you could make the argument for that. I would not want to play the Diamondbacks in this one, though. I mean, I guess D-backs under their team total is a possibility, but that would worry me as well because the Dodgers' bullpen's not good. We didn't look at the bullpen usage, by the way. Dodgers only used 3 relief pitchers last night, so their bullpen is pretty intact coming into this one. And then Diamondbacks, I mean, their bullpen is probably even worse than the Dodgers anyway. They used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, so yeah, the Dodgers' bullpen is definitely at a disadvantage for multiple reasons there. I guess my recommendation on that would be Dodgers run line. All right, let's go to Sweet 16, college basketball here. For first game up, we have the same kind of schedule as last night, pretty much. Games are a little bit staggered with kind of 2 earlier games, 2 later games. Both we have only 2 regions being played here. The other 2 regions were last night, so the East regionals are being played today, which is in Washington, D.C. The first one up is St. John's against Duke. I do think Duke is going to have a pretty big crowd here. I mean, St. John's may travel as well here, but I think it's a pretty good location for Duke. I mean, we saw Duke's fans show up in D.C. for that game against Michigan earlier this year. I think Duke will have the crowd edge here, and they have a huge fan base, so that helps Duke. Duke, we know they still have injury issues. Foster is still not going to be there. I don't know if Ngungba, is that how you pronounce his name? I have no idea if he's playing or not. Duke is still favored in this game, and, they deserve to be. To me, St. John's, I thought they were going to be a bit of a public underdog here because I did see a lot of brackets putting St. John's in the Final Four and stuff like that. 67% of tickets, 82% of the cash are on St. John's. Duke is a 6.5-point favorite right now. I kind of like Duke in this one, though. I think Duke's being a little bit maybe shortchanged because of their injuries. They're still a very solid team, and St. John's is very good on defense. There's no denying that, but St. John's wants to go up and down the court, and what they do is they turn you over and they try to score in transition, and I'm not sure that Duke is going to really allow that to happen here. Duke is going to try to slow the game way down, which I think they will actually succeed in doing. Usually the better team can control the pace. It's also easier as a slow-down team to control the pace, so I think that might happen and throw St. John's out of their element a little bit. So I don't love the matchup for St. John's here. Also, Duke is way better on offense than St. John's is. St. John's, they're not a good shooting team. They can't score that well. And if they fall behind, they're not a good 3-point shooting team either. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't get the St. John's love here, really. I would also not disagree with an under. And by the way, I was correct about the under with Illinois and Houston yesterday. The under makes sense to me in this game as well. The money is coming in on the under here. It did drop a little bit from 142 to 140.5. Again, you have 2 good defenses, and St. John's does struggle on offense for prolonged periods of time sometimes. And Duke slowing the game down also helps with that. So an under might be worth considering in that game as well. Alabama and Michigan in the Midwest region in Chicago is the next one up. Michigan is likely to have a massive fan base there, I'd have to imagine, which is why they chose the Midwest. There's a lot of love for Alabama from professional bettors, though. But Michigan looks like they have the slight money edge, even though they initially dropped from 10 to 9 here. 57% of tickets, 58% of the cash on Michigan right now. I like Michigan in the game. I don't think it's a good matchup for Alabama. I don't like Alabama for one thing, but, Alabama, just the way that they play super fast, which isn't really good in a tournament setting necessarily, although I think it's worse when you're playing on the quick turnaround time in the next game. They're not very good on defense at all. The one other problem with this matchup for them is that Michigan also goes fast. So Alabama going fast is not going to, it's not going to give them an advantage here because Michigan also does that. It's just that Michigan plays defense and Alabama doesn't. So, Michigan, they have clear advantages in this game, which, of course, is why they're favored, though. The total in this game is insane, up to 173. The money looks like it's not really indicating on the over at this point, though. It looks like there's some buyback towards the under. I don't think I would want to be sitting on an under in this game, though. The total is that high for a reason. But the total being that high also means that you can more easily cover as a favorite, like Michigan. It makes it easier for a favorite to cover a number like that when it's going to be a high-scoring game. Michigan, they haven't exactly been tested yet, but St. Louis is a very good offense, and Michigan held them pretty much completely in check. So they kind of just faced a team that's similar to Alabama in a way because St. Louis, they also go fast, and they have a really good offense. Alabama takes more three. Well, both teams take threes too, though, so I don't know. But Alabama is heavily reliant on the three. But I think the other thing where that is actually not bad for Michigan either, because Michigan is like a top 20 3-point defense as well. Michigan plays, they defend the perimeter well. I think they're actually the best 3-point defense remaining out of all the teams left in the tournament, I believe. So that's a good thing for Michigan as well. So matchup-wise, I don't really get it for Alabama here. I don't see it. And I think Alabama looks too good because they trounced Texas Tech like that. And yes, Texas Tech is a better opponent than St. Louis, but, JT Toppin was injured. That was just a weird game. Texas Tech, they just couldn't make any shots in that game. I don't know what that was. Like, it was a very, very weird outlier of a performance, man. Which that's not going to happen again. Texas Tech shot 34% from the field, 16% from three, and Alabama hit almost half of their threes. There's going to be some regression here, man. So I actually do like Michigan in this game. Like, I don't think Alabama's going to shoot 45% from three-point range again against a team that holds their opponents to 30% from three-point range on the season. And I don't see Michigan having this horrendous a shooting effort here. You know what I mean? Michigan also can kind of dominate on the interior as well. They can kind of do everything well. So, yeah, I don't like it for Alabama. I don't. I like Michigan here. There's also a big gap between these upper echelon teams and everybody else. And Michigan is now number 1 in the KenPom rankings after what they've done in the tournament so far. Or I guess after what Duke has not done. So, yeah. I like Michigan in the game. I would lean to Michigan in this one. Not that strong of an opinion, though. They better do it because they're my champion. They better at least win. By the way, St. John's is a bit more battle-tested, I will say. I forgot to mention that against Duke here. St. John's had a big lead against Kansas in that game, and I know St. John's went on a huge drought and let Kansas get back in the game, which is not necessarily good for St. John's, but that final score was not indicative of what that game was. St. John's was pretty much running away with that game the whole time. So that's something to keep in mind. Duke, though, Duke was pretty impressive against a good TCU team, though, and that was a winner I gave out on the show with Duke against TCU. So, people might overlook that win against TCU, but that was a good win for Duke. TCU was quite good down the stretch, and TCU has shown the ability to play really close against some of the best teams in the country. So, no, Cole hates Alabama. Cole is an Auburn fan, I believe. I don't think so. I do not think Alabama is going to do it. I also prefer May over Oates as a coach. And also remember, Alabama is without Holloway because he's kicked off the team because of pot and jail. What else is new for Alabama? Alabama got knocked out in this round. What was it? 2-3 years back when they had the shooting that happened and whatever. Alabama still had Miller on their team, though. Miles was kicked off the team. You remember that year? Alabama was the number 1 overall team in the country. They lost in this exact round of the tournament. So, and things kind of come full circle here because I remember that night I was at a Dave Smith show. Guess where I'm going to be tonight? And it's in the same venue that was. I'm going to be at a Dave Smith show tonight in the same venue. Yeah, same night. Like, how crazy is that? Yeah, so I don't know. That is, I didn't think about that. That is weird to me. So I think that was 3 years ago. You can whichever year Alabama lost to San Diego State. Yeah, I'm going to be in the same place that I was during that game tonight during this game. So yeah. Yes, thank you. What do you mean? Whoever controls it? Well, what do you mean? Like, Alabama and Michigan both are going to go fast. So, like, no team is really going to control it when both teams are just like, okay, we're going fast here. It's just that Michigan is the better team. Yes, I'm the reason why Dave Smith is famous. I am the one that got him to come on Tower Gang the first time he came on. I asked him to come on at Pork Fest. It was the first time I actually met Dave at Pork Fest 2021. Dave was aware of Tower Gang already at that point, and he said that he liked what we were doing. And I was like, Dave, you want to come on the show? And he said, yeah. I was like, all right, hell yeah. So then we got him on, like, I don't know, a couple weeks later probably. maybe a couple of months. I don't know. All right, the late games here. Back in the East Regionals in D.C., Michigan State and UConn. UConn probably has an advantage here with the location, man. They have a big fan base, too. Michigan State also does, but I think there's going to be a bigger UConn fan base at this one. I have Michigan State winning this game in my bracket, and as I said, I need to pick this game right in Survivor because I don't want to use Duke or Michigan yet. So for Survivor, I basically have to either pick the winner of this game correctly or I have to take Tennessee. I already used Iowa State. But I like Tennessee in that game, which I'll talk about in a minute. So, I could take Tennessee in Survivor and be really insane about it. I don't know if I really want to do that, though. So we'll see. But otherwise, I have to pick the winner of this game. Now, I have Michigan State winning this game in my bracket. I kind of like Michigan State in this game. I think Michigan State beating Louisville is more impressive than UConn beating UCLA. And I know I said UCLA played well down the stretch, but UCLA, both teams were injured, though. Louisville didn't have Mikel Brown. UCLA, I think, was playing with some injuries going on there, too, illnesses, whatever. So I don't even know which one of those wins is actually more impressive. Ken Baum has Michigan State as the slightly better team here. And the thing is, these teams are similar. They both play slow, although Connecticut plays even slower. Both teams are better on defense than offense. The thing is, Michigan State is better on offense than UConn is, and the defenses are actually pretty close to one another. So I don't really get why UConn is the favorite here. And there is money coming in on them. 64% of the cash on UConn, 56% of the tickets on Michigan State. I don't get it, man. I expected UConn to be public here. UConn seemed to be a pretty popular bracket pick, like in this region. For people that didn't want to take Duke, it seemed like UConn was the next most picked team in this region because they're fucking UConn. You know what I mean? They're they won 2 championships not too long ago. They got Dan Hurley, but we are talking about Tom Izzo in March, though that is kind of overstated. But yes, Michigan State does tend to do well in the tournament. They battle test themselves during the regular season. Izzo, really good coach. Both coaches here know what they're doing, obviously. As far as St. John's and Duke, by the way, I think probably St. John's, you probably give them the coaching edge, to be honest, with Pitino over Shire. But I don't know. We just still haven't seen enough of Shire. I don't know. Anyway, UConn is getting the money in this one, but I don't really agree with it. I know I set up my bracket a certain way, and a lot of times I will look at the market and just be like, you know what, I'm going to disagree. Based on the situation, I might disagree with what I took in my bracket. But in this case, I don't really see that much of a reason to disagree with it. I kind of like Michigan State, but I'm really worried about doing it in Survivor. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I definitely have concerns about that. Market read is definitely saying Connecticut there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have much else to say about that. That is the game that I have the least read on, really, which I don't love at all. And then Tennessee and Iowa State playing in Chicago in the Midwest region here. Tennessee has a huge fan base, man. Probably their fan base will show up in this one. Iowa State, they're not that far away either, so probably they will be well represented as well. But I know in Boston, their representation was significantly lower than Illinois' was when I was there for the regionals a couple of years ago, so I can tell you that. So I do think Tennessee might actually have more fans there just because they have a bigger fan base. We'll see, though. Also, remember, it's really weird because there are a lot of Chicago people in Tennessee, in the Nashville area, although Tennessee is not in Nashville. But, I don't know. I don't know if that is going to have anything to do with, if a lot of those Chicago people just didn't really have a school and then maybe they start rooting for Tennessee. I don't know. But I think Tennessee will have more fans than Iowa State will at this game. Don't know how much that's really going to matter. I do kind of like Tennessee. And you remember when I set up my bracket, I said that there was putting them in the Elite Eight, I said there was a chance that it could happen. Tennessee is coming off a good win over Virginia. Iowa State, is a little bit less proven, I would say, at this point, because they beat Kentucky, which looks good because it was a named Kentucky team, but, Kentucky, they're not very well coached. They're not exactly what people expect out of them every year. Iowa State, we have to figure out what's going on with the Jefferson injury because I believe he did not play in the Kentucky game. He sprained his ankle against Tennessee State, didn't play against Kentucky. And I always talk about injured player theory. And I actually used Iowa State in Survivor in that game. Maybe unfortunately, I don't know. But they got the win there pretty easily. It was the injured player theory spot. So, I always talk about that. The team will step up their game to account for that injured player. But now they're going to either be in the second game without him, where a lot of times the team will take a step back, or he's going to come back and try to play on his sprained ankle. So then it might be so that was the injured player theory in that game against Kentucky. This might be the reverse injured player theory. If he comes back, they might take their foot off the gas a little bit, even though I know this is a Sweet 16 game, but you know what I mean? Like, it might mess them up a little bit. And Tennessee is, they're a strong team. They're better than people think they are. And Iowa State's laying 4 points here. It's a low total at about 140. I know I didn't talk about the total in Michigan State and UConn. The money is heavily coming in on the under in Michigan State and UConn, by the way. If you like the under, you've already missed out, though, because it's already dropped 5 points. But I don't disagree with that move. I like slow-paced teams. Under makes sense there. Probably an under makes sense in this game, too. The money looks like it's somewhat indicating on the under. This one, it hasn't moved off the 140. But both teams are pretty good on both teams are definitely good on defense. Both teams play a bit slow, so especially Tennessee. So, yeah, an under does make sense to me in this one. Iowa State, very, very good on defense. They're actually better on both sides of the ball than Tennessee is, which gives me a little bit of hesitation here. But I actually lean to Tennessee plus the points here. I think people are going to be thrown off by Tennessee. I mean, they're the only team in Ken Palm's top 18 with a double-digit loss total on their record, and yet Ken Palm has them 14th in the country. Like, that's how underrated they are. Luck index-wise, Tennessee is one of the unluckiest teams left in the country. Iowa State a little bit unlucky too, but Tennessee has the luck index advantage here. Michigan State, by the way, does over UConn. Ken Palm has UConn being a lucky team, Michigan State being kind of middle of the pack there. Just, just to mention those things. I do like Tennessee in this game, though. I think the injury thing is going to come into play here. I think Tennessee could keep this game close, if not win it outright. I would not be shocked if they won the game outright. I would take the 4 points with Tennessee here, and I'm considering making them my survivor play. I don't know what I want to do yet, but we'll see. I used Purdue last night, by the way. All right. And it's shaping up pretty decently, by the way, because we have Illinois a 6.5-point favorite against Iowa tomorrow, and then Arizona is a 6-point favorite against Purdue. And by the way, the college basketball crown is starting coming up soon next week, so that's something we're going to talk about as well. And the NIT Final Four coming up as well. All right, we're going to go to hockey next. There are only 2 games on the board here. I'm going to do what I usually do and take a quick break. I'll be right back, and then we'll talk about hockey. And NBA, there's probably about 10 NBA games. And I do have an NBA play. I'm not going to play either hockey game, but NBA I will have a play, so I'll be back in a second. All right, NHL here. 2 games here. Detroit at Buffalo on NHL Network. Detroit I would say they must have more motivation here because they're still battling for like a playoff spot, whereas Buffalo, I think, is like definitely going to be in. Buffalo is winning the division right now. Detroit coming into this off of 2 losses. They've had a couple of days off. I think you're going to see motivation out of them here in this one. Buffalo is returning home. Or no, they already returned home from a road trip. My mistake. That's right, because they lost to the Bruins in a return home spot where they were returning from the Pacific Coast. So the Bruins got to catch them at a good time. Second game back home, a lot of times the team will bounce back, though. So it's kind of a positive spot for both teams, in my opinion. I don't have a real strong opinion on this, but the money's all coming in on Buffalo, and I just don't really see it. Buffalo minus 150 right now. 56% of the tickets are on Detroit. 88% of the cash on Buffalo. I don't get it. You would think the Buffalo would be the public side right now because their record is way better. But again, motivation towards the end of the season. You're getting Detroit as an underdog here, and they're fighting to make the playoffs. So I think I would lean to Detroit in that one. And it would be like, a split puck line, money line situation. But I'm not recommending doing it, of course. I mean, this is just my opinion on the game. And then Chicago at the Rangers, who are eliminated from the playoffs. Oh, my God. Rangers also terrible at home. Chicago's coming off an ugly loss to Philadelphia, 5-1, but that was yesterday. So they are playing a back-to-back. They're actually playing a third game in 4 days and a fourth game in 6 days, all in different cities. And it's actually a... what is this? This is a 6th game in 9 days, I believe is what this is. That's not good either. Chicago, not well rested coming into this one. The Rangers, we don't know what we're going to get out of them. Now, I'm pretty sure they're actually eliminated. So, I don't know what we're going to get out of them here. They've lost a bunch of games in a row. They're awful at home. I mean, they're a little bit more well rested here, I guess. Are they going to show up for this? I don't even know, man. I really don't. They're actually playing a 6th game in 9 days as well, believe it or not. But most of their games are at home, so that's like a little bit better. But, yeah, I have no good read on this game at all. The money is slightly coming in on the Rangers. They're up to minus 175. 83% of tickets, 97% of the cash on them. I would not want to lay a price like that with the Rangers. I really wouldn't. Especially not at home, but I have to stay away from this game. I don't even have an opinion on it. Well, actually, over might be a way to look here, because, again, when you have 2 teams that are pretty much dead, that's kind of the way you want to look in these games towards the end of the season, because these teams are going nowhere, so the defense can be a bit less intense. You know what I mean? So an over kind of makes sense here. The line has gone up a little bit into the 6 range. All right, and then we have NBA. The actual play that I have in the NBA, oh, man, yeah, you're going to love this one. I think we have 10 NBA games here. Clippers at Pacers. The Clippers coming off a win over Toronto. They've won 3 games in a row. The Clippers are fighting for playoff positioning right now, I'm pretty sure. I think they're in like one of the play-in spots right now, if I remember correctly. So they might still have some motivation here. I don't know how much attention they're really going to pay to Indiana, though. Indiana's coming off kind of a close call against the Lakers. It wasn't really that close, though. They lost by 7. I think Indiana kind of crawled back into the game when it was too late, but they made it a little bit closer at the end. I don't know if that's going to put them in a hangover spot or not here. Pacers don't have any motivation here, but the problem with the motivation where, yeah, the Clippers are going to have more motivation here, but they're laying a price on the road, and teams that are in that position, usually they're laying too many points. You're being charged a premium for it. They're 8.5 here, down from 9.5. 78% of tickets, only 75% of the cash on the Clippers. So the market read is saying take the points with the Pacers. I mean, I could see the argument for it. I don't love it at all, though. That's like a complete stay away, but that's what the market is saying. Atlanta is at the Boston Celtics here. My Celtics, who are down from 7.5 to 5 here, which I think means the Celtics must have some injuries here. I think that's why the line dropped. They're the public side, 85% of tickets, 89% of the cash on the Celtics. Both teams are not in good spots here, though. Atlanta just beat Detroit in overtime, which is a big win for Atlanta. Now, of course, they're going to show up for a game against the Celtics, too, but prior to that game against Detroit, which I said I actually leaned to Atlanta in that game. Atlanta had won a ton of games recently, but they beat up on nobodies. Like, they beat Brooklyn twice, Washington twice, Milwaukee twice, Dallas twice. I mean, these teams are bad. Milwaukee twice, Philadelphia, Memphis, Golden State, that's okay, but they're really injured too. Orlando, I mean, that's okay, but they're dealing with injuries as well. And then they beat Detroit was like the only legitimate win they had during that entire stretch. So, obviously I'm not sold on Atlanta here. Like, they could definitely be a first-round playoff exit here because they're probably going to be in the top 6 in the playoffs, and I think they're probably going to get bounced right away. There's the chance they wind up playing the Celtics in the first round. Celtics are coming off a big win themselves, though, against Oklahoma City, but they are staying at home. I believe that there is an injury going on here because, again, the Celtics would have been closer to 7.5 without that. It looks like Brown and White are kind of the big ones here. They're both game-time decisions. Don't know if they're playing or not. So that's one thing to look at here. I don't have a good opinion on the game, man. I hope the Celtics win because they're my team, and, they're battling the Knicks right now for the 2 seed. Don't know if it's really going to matter, though. The difference between the 2 and the 3 probably isn't going to matter that much. So, I kind of lean to the Celtics still, though, just because I think the Hawks are a bit, like, their win streak, as I just showed you, their recent win streak is fraudulent, even though they did just beat Detroit. Detroit is without Cade Cunningham, by the way, as you know. So the Hawks haven't beaten like a complete team that's actually good in this entire run. But the Celtics might not be complete tonight, so that's kind of the problem. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that game other than obviously not play it. Miami at Cleveland is on NBA TV. There are 3 NBA TV games here, 2 kind of overlapping. This game is one of the better ones. Miami just beat Cleveland at Cleveland, so they're playing 2 games in a row at Cleveland here. So the zigzag might be in effect here. Now, Cleveland was only a 2.5-point favorite in that game. They do have some injuries. I know Jared Allen has been out for like a month, and it looks like he might come back tonight, and that might, I don't know if even that explains why the line has changed this much, because I think their best players pretty much did play in this last game. Miami won the game outright, and Cleveland was a 2.5-point favorite. I'm pretty sure that Cleveland had like Mitchell in there. They had Harden in there, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know why the line is really 5.5 now. Like Jared Allen, if he does come back, that shouldn't move the line that much. So it might be because of the zigzag. So you guys know I always talk about the zigzag when it comes into play in the playoffs a lot, but the books know about it now, but you could still use it in the right spots. Now, basically, it's when 2 teams are playing each other in multiple games in a row, you kind of fade what happened in the first game because the public wants to kind of jump on what happened in the first game because, Miami just won at Cleveland. That means they could do it again here. They're getting more points this time, right? But that's not what I would do. I would actually fade Miami here in the zigzag, even though I know they ended a long losing streak, or a 6-game losing streak or whatever, 5-game losing streak with that win. I get it. Like, sometimes that will give you new momentum, but Cleveland is going to be the team with all the adjustments to make in this one, right? Because if you're Miami, everything you did worked and you won that game, so you have no adjustments to make. So that's why the zigzag works and is strong, because the team that was on the wrong side, if it was like an outlier, they tend to be the team to make the adjustments. Now, Cleveland actually did lose a win streak of 4 games there, and a lot of times I talk about this, when a team loses a win streak, they could be hung over into the next game, and the team that ends their losing streak, like Miami, could have new momentum, positive momentum going into the next game. So those things might factor into this game, but I do think I still lean to Cleveland here. I don't really want to lay the 5.5, though. 73% of tickets, 78% of the cash on them. The line being 5.5 seems a little crazy to me. If Jared Allen comes back, he's been out for a month. So, again, that might kind of throw a wrench into Cleveland's rotation there, and they might have to readjust, and there might be an adjustment period there. So I wouldn't love that either for Cleveland. This is a stay away for me. The next game up, I considered giving out as a play, Houston at Memphis here. I think Houston is in a bad spot, man. They just lost a big game at Minnesota in overtime, and if that's not enough for you, the fact they're coming off a huge game on the road where they almost pulled off the mild-ish upset against Minnesota there, I think Minnesota was still without Anthony Edwards, though. But if you look at what happened in that game, Houston was winning the game by 13 points with 3 minutes to go in overtime, and they lost. Yeah, you heard me correctly. Houston was winning by 13 points with 3 minutes left in overtime. They lost the game. Minnesota went on a 15-0 run to finish overtime and win that game. I don't think I've ever even heard of anything like that happening. It's completely insane. So if you're Houston and you had that game won, basically, and then you lost in that fashion, I think that's bad, dude. And Houston does have New Orleans on deck, and New Orleans has actually given Houston a lot of problems this season. So they might actually even look ahead to that game, and they got the Knicks after that. I don't see them really being focused on Memphis, who's, you know, a team that just doesn't have any of their starters playing. They've kind of packed it in for the season. And that's kind of the thing about Memphis here, right? If you want Memphis here, and I agree with Memphis in this game, they're going to have to give you effort. And that's kind of the issue here. The question is, will they? I don't know. They've lost 4 more games in a row. They actually played competitively in a couple of those games. They got blown out in their last game at home by San Antonio. But was that because of a lack of effort, or was it because San Antonio's that good? I don't know. And they got blown out in the game prior to that against Atlanta. On the road. I think Memphis will give you an effort here against Houston because Houston is going to be a playoff team. I would take the points with the Grizzlies here. Money looks like it's not really agreeing with me. The Rockets are minus 13, 80% of the tickets, 97% of the cash on Houston. Yeah, the only way that I could see actually playing this game is to take the points with Memphis, though. But they're going to have to give you an effort, so it remains to be seen, but if I was going to add another play to my card, it was going to be that one in the NBA. Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right, next game is... Oh, yeah, the next game is the play I'm going to give out. I told you guys you're going to love this one. You already know what it is. We're going to take the Chicago Bulls plus 19.5 against Oklahoma City. Yeah, that's what we're doing in this one, man. I think this is a great spot, or a really bad spot for Oklahoma City, and I know they're good at home, but this is a crazy number, dude. Oklahoma City, as good as they are at home, I think they win by about 15 on average at home right now, and this is a 19.5 number. We're going to take the Bulls. Now, the Bulls have played with a little bit of effort recently. You can see they played a close game against Cleveland. They beat Memphis not that long ago, though maybe Memphis wasn't trying. Bulls have a win in here against Golden State on the road. They played decently against the Lakers there. They beat Houston recently, and then in their most recent game, they had a pretty embarrassing performance against Philadelphia. Philadelphia, by the way, I didn't realize Paul George actually came back in that game as well. He came back from suspension, and Joel Embiid returned in that game, so it was a double reverse injured player spot, a reverse injured and reverse suspended player spot there. And what happened? Philadelphia actually still put up 20 points there. But you remember, I actually leaned to Philadelphia in that game, even though I didn't know that George was coming back. I neglected to realize that. But the Bulls were coming off that big win against Houston, so I was just like, yeah, they're going to kind of run out of steam here, I think. But putting up 157 points, Philadelphia doing that is just insane. So if you're the Bulls, you give up 157. I know the Bulls are not known for their defense, and they're known for kind of going up and down the floor and playing fast-paced games, but that's ridiculous. So I think the Bulls are going to show up in this game. I mean, you get to play the best team in the NBA here, man. I think the Bulls are going to give you an effort, especially, again, when teams give up an embarrassing amount of points like that, a lot of times you do get effort out of them in the next game, although granted, they kind of looked good in that loss in the fact that they put up 137 points themselves. But the spot for Oklahoma City is just awful. They've been on the road for 10 days. They went to the East Coast. They had an East Coast trip here. And they finished the East Coast trip with a game against the Celtics, a huge game. Celtics won the game by 10. So they're coming off that big game. But they're returning home from a road trip on top of it. So like I always talk about, when a team returns home from a road trip, a lot of times they will be distracted. They have to get back to home life. They might not pay attention to a bad team like Chicago. The other thing about Oklahoma City is they lost a long win streak with that loss. They'd won, I think, 12 games in a row, and they lost. So when a team has a long win streak like that, the longer the win streak, the worse the hangover is when you lose the win streak. So I think that is in effect here. We have a hangover spot with Oklahoma City having lost that win streak. And it's even worse because they have 3 big games on deck against the Knicks, the Pistons, and the Lakers. Those are all way bigger games. So this is also a sandwich spot. So, like, you have all these things coming into play here. The return home spot, hangover spot for multiple reasons. One being coming off a big game, the other being coming off losing a huge win streak. You have a look-ahead spot, so it's a sandwich spot. You have so many things that I look for all coming into play in this game. We got to do it. We got to take Chicago plus the points. That's what we're doing in this one. That's the only NBA play of the day. Let me see here. Money is sort of indicating on the Thunder. Whatever, man. 74% of tickets, 84% of the cash on the Thunder. I don't care. We're taking the points of the Bulls here. That's what we're doing. Hopefully, it's not going to be Bull in that game. That's what we're doing. No, we're not laying it. We're taking those points. I will occasionally lay huge numbers in the NBA, though. It's got to be a pretty good spot for it to be the case, though. Definitely a playoff zigzag. You'll see me, like, potentially laying double digits on the road and stuff like that, depending. I did it with the Celtics at least once last year. Like, when you have a team that's that good coming off a loss in the playoffs, yeah, laying it on the road in that next game makes a lot of sense, especially because the Celtics are actually really good in a situation like that. All right, New Orleans at Toronto. New Orleans just lost by 21 to Detroit. They do have Houston on deck, which maybe they'll be looking ahead to, but I don't know. New Orleans, I mean, they've actually been putting in effort. They're not going away, man. They put in some effort here. They won 3 games in a row. Then they lost close to Cleveland and to the Knicks. So I think New Orleans is actually playing hard down the stretch. But will they overlook Toronto looking towards Houston? I don't know. Maybe New Orleans wants to try to get a win on this road trip because they're 0-2 on the road trip. For Toronto, they just got blown out by the Clippers, but they're returning home from a road trip. So, you know, I think that's a bad spot, even though the last time they played New Orleans, they actually lost at New Orleans. But I don't know if that's going to be enough to focus Toronto here, man. Playing a team that's in the Western Conference. Toronto's returning home from a road trip they've been on since the 18th. They went into elevation during the road trip. Then they went to the West Coast for a game as well. And returning home from all that all the way up to Toronto. I think it's a bad spot. I think they might be a little bit distracted. They got a couple of conference foes on deck between Orlando and Detroit. Those games are bigger. I like New Orleans in this game. That would be my opinion here. Money looks like it's indicating on the Raptors. I do not agree with that. 64% of tickets, 84% of the cash on the Raptors. They're laying 8.5. I would take the points with the Pelicans in that game. Utah at Denver. Utah, the question is the effort. Are you going to get effort out of Utah? Maybe. I mean, they put an effort in some of their recent games, and they're coming off a very disgusting loss. They just lost at home by 23 to the Washington Wizards. I mean, it doesn't really get much worse than that. Maybe they were looking ahead to Denver here. Maybe they will give you an effort here. Like, leave home, just go on the road. Utah's a team that's used to playing in elevation, too. So I think maybe you will get an effort out of Utah here. Denver coming into this game off of beating Dallas, not really a big deal there. Golden State on deck. That is a TV game. Maybe they do look ahead to that just because of the name, even though Golden State is a very injured team right now. I can close the rest of these tabs here, I think. I would lean towards Utah here. The money actually does agree with that. The Nuggets are laying 18 points. Nuggets, I mean, they could definitely score, so they do have the ability to cover big numbers like this. And the Jazz, you know, not great on defense, but the Nuggets are also not, they're not amazing at home either. 54% of tickets are on the Nuggets, 62% of the cash on the Jazz. Money is indicating on the Jazz. I agree with that. Washington at Golden State. Washington, like I said, just beat Utah by a lot. Washington had lost like 16 or 17 games in a row or something prior to that. So they ended a long losing streak. So maybe they have some momentum now. You know what I mean? When a team's losing every game and they finally win, sometimes they will have some momentum coming into the next game. They did just lose at home to Golden State back on the 16th in a return home spot, by the way. So it wasn't the greatest spot for Washington there. Maybe Golden State will overlook Washington a little bit because of this. Golden State, Problem with that is, though, Golden State just had a bad game against Brooklyn, which one of you guys mentioned that game in my chat yesterday. Golden State was like a 12.5-point favorite in that game, and they only won by 3. But that was a return home spot for Golden State. That was a bad spot, returning home from a road trip. So I think they kind of got caught in that spot. A lot of times when a team doesn't do well in that spot, they do better in the next game. Now, the problem with that is, again, they did just beat Washington on the road not long ago, and they have big games on deck against Denver, San Antonio, Cleveland, and Houston. Most of those games on TV as well. So I kind of lean towards Washington in this one, but it's not a strong opinion for me. I think the Warriors are in an okay spot, but you're also asking them to lay 14 points with that Warrior team, which I think they still have all those injuries going on. 50% of tickets, 72% of the cash on the Wizards. So the money is indicating on the Wizards. I think the Wizards are a pretty injured team too, though, right now. But yeah, Steph Curry is supposed to come back in their next game. I kind of doubt it. We'll see. They keep pushing his timetable back. And then Washington is missing a lot of their guys, including Trae Young, who I guess is supposed to come back in their next game. Don't know if that's going to be the case. It looks like Sarr might come back for them in this game. He's questionable. He's been out since the 21st. He's one of the big men on Washington. We'll see if he does come back. Don't know if he will. Dallas at Portland. I believe Duke has a guy named Sarr right now too, don't they? I don't know. Are they related? I have no idea. Dallas at Portland is also an NBA TV game, along with the one that we're playing, Chicago and OKC, and Miami-Cleveland. Miami-Cleveland really the only game that I would qualify as good out of any of these three. Dallas and Portland, this is ugly. Dallas coming off playing back-to-back overtime games against the Clippers and Golden State. Then they had a somewhat close game at Denver. They lost by 7 at Denver. That game was not that close, though. Like, I looked at the box score. Like, Dallas kind of crept in late in the game. They were down double digits late. Like, Denver was never in danger of losing. But still a pretty big effort from Dallas in that one. Now having to go to the Pacific Coast out of elevation. They got Minnesota on deck. Maybe they pay more attention to that game. I don't know. Portland coming into this game off of an easy win over Milwaukee, a blowout win. They've had 2 blowout wins in a row, winning each game by 30-plus points against Brooklyn. That's not a surprise. And then Milwaukee without Giannis. Yeah, I mean, Portland, maybe they look a little bit too good off of those wins. They're laying a lot of points here. They're laying 10.5. I wouldn't want to do it, but the money is actually indicating on the Blazers. 54% of tickets on the Mavs, 57% of the cash on the Blazers. I don't totally disagree with it because the Mavs, as I showed you, are coming off that game in Denver, but I don't want anything to really do with it, of course. And then Brooklyn at the Lakers is the last game. Brooklyn, the way that they blew that game against Golden State as a double-digit underdog, I don't like them coming into this game, even though, yeah, you could argue they should get up for a game against the Lakers. It's the final game of the road trip, so you could argue that they should show up and try to get a win here, but they're also playing a 4th game in 6 days, all in different cities, 5th in 8 days, all in different cities, and coming off almost pulling off an upset of Golden State where they had the lead throughout the second half as a double-digit favorite. And you know I talk about this when a team almost has that win as a double-digit favorite. A lot of times they are hung over in the next game. The Lakers might be a little bit motivated because they had a little bit of a close call in their last game against Indiana. It was a questionable spot. I mentioned I leaned towards Indiana in that game, remember, because the Lakers had lost a win streak in a close game against Detroit, so I thought it was a bad spot to finish the road trip against Indiana. But finishing the road trip, that's pretty key here. That means LA is returning home from a road trip here. They've been on the road for like 10 or 11 days. They went all the way down to the East Coast, down to Florida during the road trip. So I always talk about that. When a team returns home from a road trip, it's a bad spot. A lot of times they'll overlook their opponent. They won't be focused. They only have Washington on deck, so that's not a big deal. If they had Cleveland and OKC up next instead of Washington in the middle there, might be more worth considering here, but I also don't want the Nets coming off that performance they just had. But the money is indicating on the Nets. I think a lot of that is because everybody knows the road trip return is a horrible spot. So I'm not really going to disagree with taking the points with the Nets here. I think if you forced me to give you an opinion on this game, that would be my opinion, but I don't love it. Lakers down from 17.5 to 16 here. 54% of tickets on the Lakers, 71% of the cash on the Nets. So do with that information what you want. The money's indicating on the Nets. That's going to do it, man. We have these long-ish shows with baseball starting. Tomorrow's going to be maybe longer because there are more baseball games, and I get too autistic about it. And last year's baseball season wasn't good enough, man. We need to be better here. We're 1-1-1 so far in baseball. We need to be better. Maybe I need to be more selective or something. I don't know what we need to do here, but, maybe I need to change the way that I handicap. I don't know. I've been doing this for a long time, though, but that's going to do it. The plays today are Houston Astros I recommended the run line, the -1 run line at a cheaper price. Make your own -1 run line with partially a 1.5 run line and partially money line I think is fine as well. But finding a way to play the Astros there. And then we also have the under. Make sure you can find the hook. I think you can find it at -115 out there. Under 7.5, Tigers, Padres. And then we do have the Bulls plus a shit ton of points. A bullshit ton of points there against the Thunder. Yeah, that's what we do on this show here, man. We're trying to find the best spots to get some money there. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram, Like, subscribe to the channel here. Let's boost this channel. Give me some good comments, man. We are on audio as well. Apple, Spotify. That helps as well. Listening over there. Reviewing over there. We got Covered in Uke because my Uke channel on YouTube. You can check that out. Patreon.com/LearnToToad if you want to throw me some support that way. And maybe I'll give you some Uke stuff, although I haven't been keeping up with it because I suck. And then Losercast will be back Tuesday nights. That's going to do it. Thank you. I appreciate it, everybody. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Charles, Dirty Sock, Hindian, Mr. Pinsey. Is that everybody who was in the chat today? Where's Kyle? Where's Jeffrey? Where are these guys today? I don't know. That's going to do it, man. I appreciate it. I'll be back as usual tomorrow for the Saturday slate. And, yeah, I don't know if any of you guys are in Boston or whatever, but yes, I will be at the Dave Smith show tonight. I told them, him and Robbie, I told them it was going to be Saturday. I got my dates mixed up. I looked at my ticket. I'm like, oh, shit, I have a Friday night ticket. All right, so whatever. So that's going to be tonight. Let's, hopefully we get some wins tonight, man. Peace.